Welcome to the web-based training on the legalities of operating a homestay in India. By the end of this course, you will be able to recognize the national guidelines and their implications, discuss state-specific homestay registration and licensing requirements, understanding taxes applicable to homestay income, and identify important permits and clearances for food establishments, fire safety, etc. This course consists of 4 modules. Let's get started with the first module, National Guidelines and their implications. During this module, we will learn about the legal aspects of operating a homestay in India. Embarking on your homestay journey in India is an exciting step. Your warmth and hospitality have the potential to create unforgettable experiences for travelers. However, to ensure your enterprise thrives legally, getting acquainted with the governing regulations is vital. This comprehensive guide aims to light your path and help establish your homestay on a firm legal foundation. Another aspect of the homestay business in India is that while the tourism department runs the bed and breakfast scheme and homestays are registered with them, it is the governments of the respective states that decide the kind of incentives and exemptions to be offered to owners. So, while an owner of a homestay in Kerala needs to pay luxury tax, another in Himachal Pradesh need not pay this tax. However, certain basic rules apply to all homestays across the country. Let's understand them one by one. To begin with the first module, let's understand the national guidelines and their implications. Homestay establishments are subject to various regulations and guidelines set forth by different authorities at the national, state, and local levels. Here are some general implications and considerations for homestay operators in India. Homestay operators may need to register or obtain licenses from the state tourism department or local authorities, depending on the regulations in their respective states. And guidelines may include standards for facilities, safety measures, hygiene, and guests. We will now discuss about the incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishment Scheme. Introduced by the Ministry of Tourism, this initiative seeks to provide a framework for homestays across India. In India, guests are considered as God. Indians go out of their way to please them. There's a saying in India, Atithi Devo Bhava. Indian hospitality is great. Sadly, most visitors who come to India and stay in hotels never get an opportunity to experience true Indian hospitality. As hotels are unable to provide them with such hospitality, the result is that there is a growing popularity of homestays in India. The scheme's key features include registration process, room limitations, residency requirement, and sharing meals. Hotels and other supplementary accommodations are an integral part of a tourist's visit to a place, and the services offered by them can make his or her visit memorable by providing comfortable homestay facilities of standardized world-class services to the tourists and supplementing the availability of accommodation in the metros and tourist destinations. The incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishment Scheme will be categorized as follows. Silver and Gold. The Regional Classification Committee as specified in the guidelines will respect and assess the bed and breakfast homestay establishments based on the facilities and services offered. The incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishments, once approved by the Ministry of Tourism, will be duly publicized. A directory of all such approved establishments will also be prepared to enable domestic as well as foreign tourists to live in a homely environment and to take advantage of the scheme. Let's discuss about room limitations in detail. The classification for Incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishment will be given only in those cases where the owner or promoter of the establishment, along with his or her family, is physically residing in the same establishment and letting out a minimum of 1 room and a maximum of 6 rooms, which includes 12 beds. The scheme will be on a bed and breakfast basis and charges will have to be levied accordingly. The type of breakfast to be offered will have to be specified, the charges will have to be displayed, and the visitors will have to be informed in advance to avoid unnecessary disputes. Once an establishment applies for classification or reclassification, it will have to be always ready for inspection by the Regional Classification Committee. Classification will be valid for 2 years from the date of issue of orders, or in case of reclassification from the date of expiry of the last classification, provided that the application has been received within the stipulated time, that is, 3 months before the expiry of the last classification. The Incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishments applying for classification will have to provide all the information supported by required documents as per the following formats: an application format as in Annexure 1, checklist of facilities as at Annexure 2, and undertaking as at Annexure 3. The application fees payable for classification or reclassification of IIB 68 Homestay will be as follows for the Government of India. The demand draft will have to be payable to Pay 64 Accounts Officer, Ministry of Tourism, New Delhi. An IIB and B homestay establishment will be classified following a 2-stage procedure. The presence of facilities and services will be evaluated against the enclosed checklist. The checklist will have to be duly filled in online and submitted along with the online application. The quality of facilities and services will be evaluated by the Regional Classification Committee. Due preference will be accorded to the homes which can provide an Indian experience by way of Indian decor, authentic and exotic Indian cuisine, etc. The Incredible India Homestay Establishment will be expected to always maintain the required standards. The Chairman, HRACC, or the concerned Regional Director, Ministry of Tourism, could authorize a surprise inspection of the establishment at any time without previous notice. All cases of classification would be finalized within 30 days of the application, should be complete in all respects and free from all deficiencies, be made online, and online confirmation of receipt of application fee by Pay and Accounts Office, Ministry of Tourism. In case of any dissatisfaction with the decision of Regional HRACC, the establishment may appeal to the Chairman, HRACC, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for review and reconsideration within 30 days of receiving the communication regarding classification or reclassification. In India, the residency requirement for homestays can vary depending on local regulations and guidelines set by the state government or municipal authorities. Generally, homestay operators are required to comply with certain legal and regulatory requirements to operate their establishments legally and ensure the safety and well-being of the guests. While specific residency requirements may differ across states and regions, here are some common aspects that homestay operators may need to consider: local regulations, residency status of guests, compliance with laws, safety and security measures, guest registration, health and hygiene standards, and community relations. It is important for homestay operators to research and understand the specific requirements and regulations applicable to their location and ensure compliance to operate legally and responsibly. Seeking guidance from local authorities, tourism departments, or industry associations can help homestay operators navigate regulatory requirements and best practices for operating their establishments. A homestay is a form of hospitality and lodging where visitors stay at a local host's residence. The practice of hosts sharing meals with guests in homestays is quite common and is often considered a part of the cultural experience. Sharing meals is not only a way to provide hospitality, but also a means to foster connections, promote cultural exchange, and create memorable experiences for guests. Following are few key aspects to consider regarding host sharing meals with guests in homestays in India. Cultural tradition. Sharing meals with guests is deeply ingrained in Indian hospitality and culture. Authentic experience. Many travelers seek homestay experiences in India to immerse themselves in local culture and traditions. Social interaction. Sharing meals provides opportunities for hosts and guests to engage in meaningful conversations, exchange stories, and forge personal connections. Hospitality and generosity. Inviting guests to share meals is a gesture of hospitality and generosity on the part of the hosts. And family atmosphere. Sharing meals in a homestay setting creates a family-like atmosphere where guests are welcomed as part of the household. Let's understand the implications of homestay schemes. Homestay schemes in India have brought several things to consider, such as a type of lodging may not be suitable for all travelers. Homestay schemes in India offer numerous benefits in terms of cultural exchange, economic empowerment, and sustainable tourism. They also pose challenges related to cultural commodification, social disruption, environmental degradation, and regulatory compliance. It is essential to address these issues through collaborative efforts involving government agencies, tourism stakeholders, local communities, and tourists to ensure the responsible and sustainable development of homestay tourism in India. While not every state mandates compliance with this scheme, registration offers advantages such as increased visibility and potential marketing support through the Ministry of Tourism. However, always prioritize understanding and complying with your state's specific regulations. Moving on to the second module, we will have detailed knowledge of state-specific homestay registration and licensing requirements. Homestay registration and licensing requirements in India vary from state to state, and they are subject to the regulations and guidelines set forth by the respective state tourism departments or local authorities. While it's challenging to provide comprehensive details for each state, here is a general overview of the process and requirements based on common practices. Registration process, licensing requirements, documentation, and compliance and renewal. Be aware that each state within India has its distinct approach to regulating homestays. To avoid penalties or even homestay closure, careful attention to individual state guidelines is required. Compliance with regulatory requirements not only ensures legal operation but also enhances the credibility and reputation of the homestay establishment. Getting a homestay license for your home or property should be one of your top priorities. You must register with the tourism department by filling up an applying form. You also must get permission from the local panchayats and the police. Each state tourism board has its standards for basic amenities, room dimensions, safety protocols, etc. as a basis for granting licenses to homestays. If the property is rented, you must inform the landlord about the subleasing and getting his approval. Following are a few examples of the registration process. Goa. Registration with the Goa Tourism Development Corporation (GTDC) is mandatory. Karnataka. The state offers a comprehensive homestay licensing system with defined categories and associated fees. Kerala. Registration falls under the state's responsible tourism mission. Tamil Nadu. To get a homestay license, the applicant must approach the Ministry of Tourism Regional Office. Uttarakhand. The application for a homestay license must be sent along with the requisite fee to the State Ministry of Tourism. Furthermore, we will discuss now about tax applicability to homestay. Income generated from homestays in India is subject to taxation under the Income Tax Act of 1961. Homestay owners are required to declare their income from such operations and pay taxes accordingly. Here's an overview of the tax applicability to homestay income in India. Taxability. The Income Tax Act of India considers income generated from your homestay operation as taxable revenue. The income tax liability on homestay income is determined based on the applicable income tax slabs and rates for individual taxpayers as per the total income during the financial year. Homestay owners are eligible to claim deductions under various sections of the Income Tax Act. Tax brackets. The tax slabs you fall under, and consequently the percentage of tax payable, depending on your total annual income. Engaging a tax advisor for personalized guidance can be invaluable. Homestay owners need to maintain proper accounting records and documentation to substantiate their income and expenses for tax purposes. GST implications. The Goods and Services Tax (GST) has relevance for homestay services. Factors such as location, revenue threshold, and offered amenities determine your GST liability. Again, professional advice is vital in navigating GST registration and compliance. Homestay owners may be liable to register for Goods and Services Tax if their aggregate turnover exceeds the prescribed threshold limit. Homestay services are classified under the category of accommodation services and attract GST at applicable rates. Lastly, we will take a look at the details of important permits and clearances for homestay business. Operating a homestay business in India requires obtaining various permits and clearances to ensure compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. While specific permits may vary based on the location and nature of the homestay, here are some of the important permits and clearances commonly required. Food license. Prepare and serve meals to your guests legally by obtaining a valid food license issued by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI. This entails ensuring you meet required hygiene and safety standards. Fire safety clearance. Adhere to the National Building Code of India to ensure adequate fire safety provisions within your homestay property. Fire safety clearance is essential to ensure the safety of guests and compliance with fire safety regulations. Homestay owners should obtain clearance from the local fire department by installing fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, fire alarms, and other necessary firefighting equipment. Other potential permits. Municipal authorities or pollution control boards may require additional permits dependent on your specific services and location. Explore this thoroughly to prevent unforeseen setbacks. This permit ensures compliance with zoning regulations, building codes, and other local laws. Let's understand a few important details concerning resources. National guidelines. Incredible India Bed and Breakfast Homestay Establishment Scheme. There is a central website for the Ministry of Tourism scheme. Here is a link. And for state-specific guidelines, homestay hosts can search for Incredible India Bed and Breakfast Scheme plus relevant state. This often brings up state-specific tourism board information, and contact their regional Ministry of Tourism office directly for the latest guidance and registration processes. The following table provides you with the details of state-specific resources. Listed below are a few resources that provide information about tax and permits. Tax. Operating a homestay in India involves complying with various taxes and obtaining permits to ensure legal and regulatory adherence. While there is no specific link for homestay taxation, understanding income tax in general is useful. Please refer to the link below for tax and permit details. Goods and Services Tax (GST), Food Safety and Standards Authority of India (FSSAI), and National Building Code of India, Bureau of Indian Standards.